Yeah. Okay, so that was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Tell Me Baby. And funny story, very first song I play has a bad word in it. I was working really hard to avoid that, and apparently I was not working hard enough. So, apparently we've met our profanity quota for the day already. So we talked a minute ago about, who I am, what I do. Um, Again, writer, web series, life coach, all around great guy. But now I want to talk a little bit about who you are. So, who are you? Well, I mean, that's not who you are. That's just your name. I mean, who are you? Well, I mean, that's not really you either. That's just something about you. I mean, but who are you? Right. Okay, I'll stop messing with you. If you said your name, like I said again, that's not you. That's just your name. Or if you said I'm a doctor or a lawyer, I'm a student, that's not you. That's what you do. If you said, I'm a man, I'm a woman, that's not who you are. That's your sex. Or if you said I'm a Christian, I'm a Jew, I'm a Buddhist, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Hindu, that's still not you either. That's what you believe. So, who are you? Hmm, Not an easy question, is it? I tell you what, ponder it, and a little later in the hour, I will tell you the answer to this question because it's an important one. Let me talk a little bit now about the law of attraction, about goals, about bringing things into your life. And I promise you it won't be corny. Let me tell you, this is what I do. My whole thing is I take these ideas and I make them not lame. Because it's very easy to listen to people and watch things, and they're all like, all you need to do is have love in your heart, and the cosmic bliss will come flowing in. It's kind of like, let me stop you right there. I mean, there's people that I have to talk to sometimes, and I'm like, look, I believe you. I 100% believe what it is that you're talking about. We're on the same page, and I still don't want to talk to you, and I still don't want to listen. So it can be weird when you talk about how all these things work in the real world. First and foremost, I can tell you just the fact that we're having this conversation right now, just the fact that you can hear me right now, is living proof of the fact that the law of attraction is a real thing that really functions. Because I got to say, about a week ago, I didn't even know that this radio station existed. I didn't know that I was going to be doing this here right now. Now, about 6 months ago, I decided that I had a goal in my life that I wanted to be on the radio. That was something I wanted. And it's something that I've been thinking about and meditating about and adding into my visualizations every single day. And then literally, this opportunity fell out of the bright blue sky the day before my birthday, in fact. So the fact that we're here having this conversation is my big gift. Some good times. Actually, it's a two-part thing that I want. The second part I want is to be on television. So far I've conquered the internet. I've branched out into radio. The next step is TV. So obviously you'll see when I get there because believe me, I'm going to tell everybody. So how do you actually start to apply this? Is the law of attraction just this like magical thing where you make a wish and then $1 million gets miracled into your bank account? Is that really how it works? And the answer is sort of, but not quite. Okay. Now, I mentioned that the law of attraction is one of 7 universal laws. This is something I wrote a book about, actually. The 7 universal laws are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. Okay. Really fast. The law of mentalism holds that basically everything is mental. That basically the entire universe is not even really a universe so much as it is a construct in the mind of not only our minds. When people say, the world is what you think it is, which is true, but it's kind of like all of creation is like a construct in the mind of God. That the creator, however you describe the creator, is really thinking reality into existence all the time. Some people say dreaming existence into reality all the time. And if that seems kind of like a crazy idea, like you sort of roll your eyes, kind of like, oh, whatever. The thing about quantum physics is already teaching us that many things in this reality don't actually come into being until there's an observer. That just the fact that you're looking at something changes it. Just the fact that somebody is watching an experiment can change the outcome of the experiment. And this is at the microscopic level, at the smallest level of reality, that these minor changes can occur. In fact, let me tell you a little story. This is a segue, but this has to do with the law of mentalism. Have you ever heard of, well, how can I explain it? Have you ever heard of a story called Schlesinger's Cat? And I can't say Schlesinger. Apparently I'm getting tongue tied. Schlesinger's Cat. Okay? The idea is basically a pretty simple one. It's that if you take a cat and you put the cat in a box, right? And you put a little bit of radioactive material in the box, okay? You have a radioactive material with a half-life of 1 hour. What that means is the radioactive material is either going to give off its energy in an hour or it won't. It's got a 50-50 chance of blowing up, okay? And you put a little sensor in there, in the box, that if the radioactive material goes off, it's going to release some poison gas and kill the cat, okay? Bear with me. I'm going somewhere with this, I swear, okay? Cat in a box, basically with a bomb that may or may not go off, okay? And you put the cat in the box with the bomb that may or may not go off. Now, here's the thing. When you try and predict whether or not the cat is going to be alive or dead, there's no way to know until you open the box, okay? Because the cat's in the box, you don't know until you open and look in it, okay? Still with me? I know it's kind of early in the morning for quantum physics, but hey, that's how I roll. So, what the Schlesinger's cat experiment basically holds is the fact that since you don't know whether or not the cat is alive or dead until you look at it, the cat is basically can be considered both alive and dead simultaneously. There's no way to know which one it is, so it may as well be both. Okay? You can consider the cat equally alive and equally dead at the exact same time, and it won't be until you open the box that it actually becomes either alive or dead. Okay, so what's the point about this? Because I think those of you that got it, those of you that don't have it yet, I apologize for my poor explanation, but you're not going to get it if I keep talking about it. The moral of the story is the cat is neither alive or dead until someone looks. And this is actually how our universe really works, that there's nothing that actually takes place until somebody takes the time to observe it. And if nothing takes place until somebody takes the time to observe it, then who or what must be observing all of the universe all the time? That's God. That's why you may hear God referred to as the observer. So this is the first law of the universe, that everything exists in the mind. Everything exists in God's mind. Everything exists in our mind. And your life can get really good and really easy when the thoughts that exist in your mind are in harmony with the thoughts that exist in God's mind. And I'm going to tell you how to do that. May not be today, but I will tell you how to do that. We'll see. I don't know. The second law, and these may not be in order, by the way. The second law is the law of vibration. And the law of vibration is better known as the law, the law of attraction, the secret, things of that nature, although that's just kind of a part of it. But the law of vibration holds is that two things that vibrate in sync are attracted to one another. You know how when you talk about magnets, a plus and a minus are attracted to each other. It's not exactly like that. In fact, it's quite the opposite when you look at it on the huge scale. That the things that you vibrate in the same frequency as are the things that are drawn into your life. Now, let me give you a couple of real life examples of this. If you look at your 10 closest friends, I can tell you that you probably make about the same amount of money as your 10 closest friends averaged out. You all are probably in about the same economic bracket. You probably all are about roughly the same age. You probably all have roughly the same interests because you are in harmony with that type of person. That's why you may hear people that do a lot of self-development stuff talk about how if you want to become wealthy, start hanging out with wealthy people because it kind of rubs off on you. And believe it or not, it's true. You start to adapt new ways of seeing things, new ways of thinking, new ways of being that help you move into a wealthier mindset and by extension, a wealthier life. But things resonate in harmony. This is why people say that you shouldn't necessarily keep a very dirty home. I can be very guilty of this. I'm kind of cluttered by a definition. I'm sure it's inevitable that you might hear me like knock over some books that are here at my desk while I'm broadcasting this, but it happens. I like having things in arm's reach. But clutter can be a problem for this very reason. Hanging around overly negative people can be a problem for this very reason. If you've ever had a really stressful job or everybody was really down and it made you really down and you even started to get physically sick behind of it, that's why. Okay? Law of vibration. So this is why when people talk about the law of cause and effect, they say you want to get into the right emotional state that's going to help bring these things into your life, and that's why. Okay, but we'll talk more about that in a little while because it's way more to it than what I just said. Okay, so we've got law of mentalism, vibration, now law of correspondence. Okay, law of correspondence dictates that things can be alike, and by extension, you can know other things about it. Let me see, how can I explain this a little bit better? Let's say if you come into a person's home and you see cat hair everywhere, you can infer a couple of things about them, right? You can infer that they probably have cats, right? But you can also infer that they're not really a neat freak, like they don't necessarily like OCD for cleaning or something because there's cat hair everywhere, right? Or you can infer that what color the cats are just from looking at it or things of that nature. But how this really works on a bigger level, and that really was not the best explanation. I'm going to work harder on that. I'll come back to you with a law of correspondence explanation that'll work a little better. But in the meantime, what this means is that the law of correspondence is why astrology works, right? That makes sense, okay? It's that you can observe in the stars that when the planets are in a certain alignment, certain things start to happen on the Earth because there's a corresponding result from things that happen in space to what happens on the Earth. Even if you don't even necessarily believe in astrology, you can look at things that when the moon is full, more crimes are committed, more babies are born, things of that nature. You know, more people are committed to insane asylums. That's where the word lunatic comes from. Full moons drive people a little bit crazy. Or even down to just the measurable gravitational stuff of the tides, right? That there is a correspondence between certain phases of the moon, certain phases of the sun, that have physical, measurable effects on our Earth, and even things that don't have such specifically measurable effects. Okay? That's correspondence. The law of polarity dictates that what we were saying about magnets before, that if you're going to have a positive, you're going to have a negative. That you're going to have a light, you're going to have a shadow. If you're going to have a male, you're going to have a female. If you're going to have an up, you're going to have a down. That's kind of the parameters of the three-dimensional world that we live in, at least on this plane that we live in, is that opposites exist and opposites ideally balance one another